Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to simplify articles that often confuse students but are actually very easy once understood. By the end of this presentation, you won't just know the rules, you will know exactly when and how to use them correctly. Articles are small but very important words. They help us understand whether we are talking about something general or something specific. There are two main types of articles, indefinite and definite. Indefinite articles talk about general things, while the definite article refers to something specific or already known. Now that we have understand what articles are and its two different types, we will start by discussing different uses of definite article the. First, we use the when we are talking about a particular person or thing, not just any. For example, if I say a boy, it can be any boy. But if I say the boy, I mean a specific boy that both the speaker and listener understand. Similarly, in the sentence, the king said to the gardener, we are talking about a particular king and a particular gardener. Second use is when a noun is mentioned for the first time, we use indefinite articles a or n. But when we mention the same noun again, we use definite article the. This shows that we are talking about the same person or thing. For example, a beggar met a miser, but when we repeat them, we say the miser and the beggar because now they are already known. Third, we use definite article before a common noun which is indicating a class. Here, the is used in a general sense. Even though we use a singular noun, it represents the entire class. For example, the dog is a faithful animal does not mean one dog, it means all dogs. Next use is we always use the before the names of rivers. For example, we say the Nile and the Indus. This is a fixed grammatical rule. Then we use the when talking about a group of islands like the Philippines. But for a single island, we do not use article the. Like we do not say the Ireland, we just say Ireland. Then the is used with mountain ranges such as the Himalayas. However, we do not use the with individual mountains, so we say Mount Everest, not the Mount Everest. We use article the before major water bodies like oceans, seas, gulfs, and straits. For example, the Indian Ocean and the Persian Gulf. Next, the is often used before the proper names of books. For example, the Quran and the Bible. The ninth use of definite article is we use it for things that are unique, meaning only one exists. For example, the sun and the moon. Next, whenever we use superlative forms of adjectives, we always place the before them. For example, the best boy. Some newspapers use definite article with their names like the Dawn or the Times. However, some names do not use it, like Reader's Digest. Next, we use definite article before adjectives used as noun in the plural sense. Here, adjectives act as nouns and refer to a group. For example, the poor means poor people. The is used in certain fixed expressions. For example, the more you study, the better you perform. Finally, the is used when we compare someone to a famous person or place. For example, Kalidas is the Shakespeare of India. This means He is as great as Shakespeare. Now we will discuss when or where definite article is not used in our sentences. We do not use the with plural nouns when we are talking in a general sense. For example, dogs bark means all dogs in general. But if we are talking about a specific group, then we use the like the students who were absent. The is not used before most proper geographical names. For example, we say London, India, and Asia without the. Also, we do not use the with single mountains or lakes like Mount Everest or Lake Sambar. As a general rule, proper nouns do not take the, so we say Muhammad Ali or Fatima, not the Muhammad Ali or the Fatima. Next, abstract nouns refer to ideas or qualities. We do not use the before them when speaking generally. For example, honesty is the best policy. Material nouns like gold, silver, and bronze do not take the when used generally. For example, gold is a precious metal. The is not used before a common noun used in a general sense. For example, when we use the word men to represent the entire human species, we should say men and not the men. Next, when an adjective comes before an abstract noun, we usually do not use the. For example, British imperialism, not the British imperialism. When a title comes before a proper name, we do not use the. For example, Queen Elizabeth, not the Queen Elizabeth. Definite article the is not used before names of diseases. For example, he died of cancer or cancer is dangerous. We do not use the before languages or colors. For example, French, German, blue. But if we say the English, it means the pupil, not the language. Finally, we do not use the before Roman numerals. Now that we have understood where we use and avoid the definite article, let's move on to indefinite articles, which are used in a more general and less specific sense. We use a or n when we want to talk about something in a general sense. For example, a tiger is a fierce animal. Does not mean one specific tiger. Indefinite articles can also mean one. For example, a stitch means one stitch, and two of a trade means two people of the same profession. As a general rule, a singular countable noun must have an article, so we say a tiger, not just tiger. When an adjective comes before a noun, we still use a or n. For example, a rich man or a beautiful girl. Then sometimes a is used before the word most to mean very. For example, a most amusing story means a very amusing story. As a general rule, we use n before words that start with a vowel sound. Similarly, when h is silent, like in honest, it is now giving us the sound of vowel. We use n. So we say an honest man. We use a before consonant sounds. For example, a university, because it starts with a y sound. Though U is a vowel, but here it sounds like consonant, so we have used a. Similarly, a historical account, now we will use a because here H is not silent, it is pronounced. Sometimes a or n is used before a proper noun to make it common. This means we are not referring to the real person but someone like them. For example, a Socrates means a wise person, not the actual Socrates. Now let's discuss situations where indefinite articles are not used. Indefinite articles are not used before abstract nouns like peace or misconduct and material nouns like gold. However, when material nouns act as adjectives, we can use them like in a gold ring. Also, remember that a and n depend on sound, not spelling. So we say a university and a one-eyed man because they begin with consonant sounds. To conclude, articles may seem small, but they play a very important role in English. They help make our sentences clear and precise. With regular practice, we can use them correctly and confidently. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please do like, share and subscribe for more English grammar lessons.